Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome. This warm, sunny day reminds me of something that happened to me, a true story back in April of 2016. Have you ever had a situation where you had a vision or a premonition and it turned out to come true? Um, well, this is a story about a vision that I had that actually saved me. Without that, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. So, I was living in Colorado, and it was about a 90-minute drive to get home up a long, windy canyon road. I was about 30 minutes into the drive, and I started coming around a very large curve. And the air got really heavy, and I started feeling very, very uncomfortable. And I flipped into this vision that I was having that something bad happened, some sort of catastrophic event happened to the front driver's side tire of my car. And in this vision, the car rolls twice. I go down an embankment, probably into the river, and everything goes black. And it's not just a regular kind of black, but like an ominous, dark nothingness. Like, I know I died in this vision, right? So I pull over, and my husband actually happened to be following behind me that day because we stopped in town to get some supplies. And he got out of the truck and he came over and he was like, "What's wrong?" And he could see that I was shaking and breathing heavy and was very upset. And I told him about the vision. I told him about, the noise, the catastrophic event, a car rolling and everything going black. Well, he looked over the car and, he didn't really see anything. There weren't any lights on, nothing like that to indicate any problems. And he was like, "Well, let's just head home. We'll look it over later and everything should be fine." Well, we drove the next 60 minutes home. Nothing happened. And this was on a Tuesday. So fast forward to Saturday. That's the next time I had to drive. I had to go to town. It was after dark to get my teenagers from their friend's house. And so I got in the car and I started to drive down my long driveway. And by the time I got to the dirt road where I had to turn off to head to town, I had a panic attack. And the universe at this point is screaming at me, "Don't go. Go back. Just don't go." But I had to go. I had kids down in town and I had to go pick them up, so I kept going. Well, about 10 minutes later or so, I start having another panic attack. And again, this overwhelming sense of dread is happening. And the universe is screaming at me. I mean, the voices, it was just like, "Don't go." But I had to. So I trooped on. And I went about another 15 minutes or so, and I came to a very sharp hairpin turn that we locals called super curve. And there was a pull out there. And I pulled out because I was having a panic attack so bad that I was hyperventilating and I was crying. And the universe is screaming, "Don't go. You gotta go back." So at that point, I decided to listen. I knew I couldn't go any further. It just stopped me dead in my tracks. I had no choice. I had to go home. So I turned around and I went back. Well, as I'm heading back, I'm having these, feelings of doubt. And, it's like, what are my kids going to think? What are the people, what is my husband going to think? I mean, they're going to think I'm crazy, because here I am, I'm listening to these things in my head that are telling me, "Hey, stop, go back and whatnot." But I really had no choice. So I get to where I, turn off to go up my long driveway to go home. And I'm going about, 10 miles an hour or so. And something happened. And my car, like, the nose went down into the ground and dirt started flying everywhere. And that horrible sound that I had heard when I heard the vision in the first place happened. And it was just scary, super scary. And my car just came to a grinding halt. And so I got out of the car and I realized that my front driver's side suspension had completely come apart. There's a piece that holds your tire in place, and it had come loose, and my tire had dislocated itself and gone sideways, kind of like a duck foot. And the nose of my car was stuck down in the ground, and it was just horrible. And I realized at that moment that if I had kept going, I would have been going like highway speeds when this happened. So I went up and I got my husband and brought him back down, and he looked over the car, and was able to get, the car moved up and stuff. But the where I'm going with this though is that if I had not listened to those voices and listened to that premonition and that vision that I saw, I would have been going highway speeds at about that exact same point where the large curve, because it was about 30 minutes down the hill farther where I would have hit that large curve, the tire and suspension would have come apart. My car would have rolled. I would have rolled down that embankment and I would have died, and I would not be here talking to you right now. That premonition saved my life. There's no getting around it. I would have died that day. And, if it weren't for listening to that, that vision. So if you've ever had a situation like that where, you have a vision or, a premonition, voices, something telling you, hey, something is wrong here. Take heed, listen, assess, figure out what's going on, look at the situation, and listen to it, hon. Because the universe is always sending us messages. And it's important that we listen. Don't live in, fear or panic, but just, listen, because there's something for you in it. So I hope that this message touches you. If it does, give me a like, give me a subscribe. If a situation like this has ever happened to you, leave me a comment. I read all your comments and I love to see them. And if you feel like doing so, buy the Cat Council a treat. They're always working overtime for me. They have to. So you have a good evening, and I hope this message touched you. Bye.